Hello everyone, I'm Crafty and today I'm making this video as a follow-up to my guide video that I made before. So this is part 2. In this video I'm gonna attempt to show some of the combos that you can do with Dragunity with this specific decklist. And if you don't know any of the cards in this decklist, if you are new to Dragunity or if you don't know this decklist, I highly suggest you watch the first video first, and then you can come back here to follow along as I explain the combos basically. Because in the first video I explained almost all the cards here, and I even went in details for some of them as well. So I highly suggest watching that first and then come back here and follow along. So yeah, so in this video I'm gonna use this decklist, of course. I'm not gonna put the CMorg engine in yet. I'm gonna just start with this first, and then at the end of the video, if I have time, I can go into the Dragunity stuff basically, but I doubt it. There is a lot to go through just with this decklist alone, so let's get started, I guess. Okay, so let's hop into a solo mode game, and we're gonna change our starting hand. So let's put all these cards in the deck, and we're gonna add Remus and one discard because we're gonna start with the very simple, oops, not vanish, to the deck please. So we're gonna start with one Remus and one discard combo, basically the very basic combo that every Dragunity player can do if you have the Pendulum engine, of course. So let's add Remus and any discard, it doesn't matter what it is. Okay, so before I start explaining the combo, there is like a general thing that you need to know and understand about Dragunity combos in general. So if you play any deck that has Dragunity as the core engine of the deck, there are certain things that you need to know about it that can make the understanding process of the combo a little bit easier, maybe. Because I know for a fact that Dragunity has a lot of steps, so there is a lot to memorize. But if you understand the logic behind the combo, you don't really need to memorize anything. You just need to follow the logic basically, and you will always do the combo correctly basically. And I know that it can be intimidating at first to try to learn Dragunity, especially this variation. So I'm gonna try to simplify as much as I can and give you some tips about like some of the plays basically. So yeah, so the Dragunity combo in general revolves around two specific cards. So the first card is Dragon Ravine. So let's just put Ravine on the field. And the second card is Guidorg. Let's put Guidorg here. So these are the two cards that the whole combo revolves around. So what do I mean by that? I mean that the aim of the combo is to utilize these two cards in order to load the graveyard with your combo pieces, and then use these combo pieces in order to go further into your combo and actually put down your interruptions on the board basically, so to end up on an end board. So that's why I like to think about the Dragunity combo as having two phases. The first phase is the preparation phase. It's the phase where you just prepare all the ingredients basically, and then the second phase is the phase of execution basically. It's the phase where you use all your ingredients, all your preparation, in order to actually cook up something basically, in order to put down your end board. So you can think about it this way, like phase 1 and phase 2 basically, preparation and then execution, or cooking if you want to. So in preparation phase, you're gonna use Dragon Ravine in conjunction with Guidorg in order to get access to your extenders and to your combo starters as well, right? So you're gonna special summon Guidork 3 times during the combo at least, right? The first time you're gonna summon Guidork is by simply synchro summoning Guidork. That's it. The second time you're gonna special summon Guidork is by using the effect of Glow, by banishing it from the graveyard, because you're gonna equip Guidork to Mistletoe, and then you're gonna special Guidork from the spell and trap zone into the monster zone with Glow. And the third time you're gonna special summon Guidork is with Red MD. Okay, so again, you're gonna special summon 3 times Guidork. The first time you're just gonna synchro summon into it naturally. The second time you're gonna use Glow. The third time you're gonna use Red MD. There is a potential fourth time that you can use if you have Odai's Revolution Dragon in your hand, basically. So you can just scale Odai's Revolution Dragon and then special summon Guidork a fourth time from the graveyard, basically by destroying this one and putting it in the extra deck, basically. So that's a potential fourth time, but you don't need to know this fourth time in order to go into the combo. This is just another way to extend if you have Odai's Revolution Dragon in your hand. But in this combo specifically that I'm gonna teach you, you don't need Odai's Revolution Dragon, basically. So let's put all these back into the deck. So I just wanna iterate. You're gonna special summon 3 times Guidork. The first time is normal synchro summon. The second time you're gonna use Glow, and the third time you're gonna use Red MD. Okay, so that's the first thing that you need to understand. Each time you summon Guidork, you're gonna use its effect in order to load up the graveyard with one resource. So usually the first time you summon Guidork, you're gonna put Zephyros in the graveyard. So what is Zephyros? That's your first card that usually you want to put in the graveyard. Usually, I say usually because it depends on your opening hand, but I'm just trying to explain the logic of the combo in general, and then we're gonna go into specifics, okay? So the first time you summon a Guidork, which is the synchro summon, you usually want to put Zephyros in the graveyard. The second time when you special summon Guidork with Glow, usually you either want to put into the graveyard Samsara Dragon or a tuner. So here we're gonna put Samsara Dragon, and whatever you didn't in the second, whatever you didn't do in the second summon, you're gonna do in the third summon. So here, since on the second summon we put Samsara Dragon in the graveyard, on the third summon with Red MD, we're gonna put a tuner in the graveyard. So when I say a tuner, it's usually either Kus or Phalanx. It all depends on your opening hand. Usually you want to put Kus in the graveyard. However, in some cases you need to put Phalanx because you don't have access to a play that only synchro summons Dragunity alone. You need Phalanx to go into other non-Dragunity synchro monsters. Basically, that's why you need Phalanx, because Kus, you cannot use Kus for synchro summon except for synchro summon of a Dragunity monster. So it all depends on what you need to do, basically. But for now, just understand that usually with the third summon you need to load the graveyard with one tuner, basically. So let's say it's Kus. Okay? So by the time you finished summoning Guidork 3 times, usually when you look at your graveyard, you want to see these cards, basically, right? Of course, you want to see these cards with Mistletoe in the graveyard, because Mistletoe, you're gonna add Mistletoe and use Mistletoe during the combo naturally, so you don't really need to worry too much about Mistletoe specifically, but you need to worry about these 3 specific cards because these are the cards that are gonna help you track where you are during the combo. so you don't get lost in the combo, and you know exactly what you need to do, basically, depending on what is missing from the graveyard. Okay, so really quickly again, you're gonna summon Guidork 3 times, once with Synchro Summon, once with Glow, once with Red MD. The first time usually you want to load Zephyros, the second time you want to load either Samsara or the Tuner, and the third time you load in the graveyard whatever you did not load in the second time. That's it. So that's the general idea. Ravine is also going to help you get access to your extenders. So Ravine, usually you're going to use it to access either Legatus to add it to hand, right? You're gonna use Ravine also to get access to, for example, Gizarmi. You can add Gizarmi to your hand, or Dukes. So these are like your potential targets, depending on your hand, basically what you need to do. Usually you're gonna use Ravine twice in a combo. Sometimes you only need once, depending on what you have on your starting hand. But usually you're gonna recycle it, because with Zephyros, so you're gonna bounce Ravine to your hand, and then you can use it again, basically, right? So yeah, so again, real quickly with Ravine, usually Ravine, it helps you extend your combos, but by adding to your hand something to summon, basically, right? Something to summon from your hand that can extend your combos even further. So, okay. With that being said, let's put down everything in the deck, and let's start with the first real combo, basically. Let's put back these into the deck. Into the deck you go. You too. You as well. All of you will go to the deck. Okay. Now, the first combo I'm gonna show you is a very basic combo that only uses Remus and one discard. And this combo specifically works because we have the small pendulum engine in the deck. Okay, so first of all, we're gonna use Remus in order to get access to Ravine. So we're gonna add Ravine, which we're gonna activate immediately. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna show the combos uninterrupted. Okay, I'm gonna assume that our opponent does not interrupt us, just to for educational purposes, basically. Like I will do maybe another video onto how you can play around disruption and that kind of thing, basically. So just keep that in mind. Okay. Okay, so we activated Ravine. Now we're gonna use the effect of Ravine by discarding one card for cost in order to search Legatus. So we're gonna search Legatus to hand, and since we have Dragon Ravine on the field, we can special summon Legatus from our hand. And because now we control a Dragunity monster, we can use the effect of Remus to special summon from the graveyard. And since we special summon Remus from the graveyard by its own effect, it's gonna get banished when it leaves the field, and also it locks us into only summoning dragons from the extra deck, which is not a problem for us because every single monster in our extra deck is a dragon anyway. So now we're gonna synchro summon with these two, like level 2 Remus and level 4 Legatus, into our first synchro summon, Guidork. So this is the first summon, like I said before, and now we're gonna activate the effect of Guidork in order to add Zephyros to hand. So where is Zephyros? Here is Zephyros. So we're gonna add Zephyros to hand, and we're gonna discard it immediately to finish resolving Guidork. Now we're gonna activate Zephyros by bouncing Ravine into our hand for cost, and we're gonna special summon Zephyros. Of course, in game in Master Duel you're gonna take 400 damage. It's gonna be automatic, so here I'm just gonna do it manually. Now that we have a winged beast and a dragon on the field, we can go into Romulus. What is Romulus? So we're gonna link these two into Romulus. we're gonna activate the effect of Romulus in order to add a Dragunity spell or trap card from our deck. So Romulus allows us either to add Ravine, like Dragon Ravine, or any Dragunity spell or trap card in our hand. So here we're gonna add Glow. So we're gonna add Dragunity Glow. We're gonna activate Glow, search Mistletoe with it. So Glow allows us to search Mistletoe from either the deck or the graveyard, which is important to know because sometimes you need to discard Mistletoe from your hand, so then you can recycle it to your hand with Glow. So what is Mistletoe? Here it is. So we're gonna add Mistletoe to hand. This goes to the graveyard, of course. Now, since we have a Dragunity monster on the field, we can send that monster to the graveyard in order to special summon Mistletoe from our hand. And since we summoned Mistletoe from the hand, we get to activate its effect to equip it with one dragon type Dragunity monster from the graveyard. And the monster we're gonna choose, of course, is Guidork. So we're gonna equip it with Guidork. Then we're gonna activate the effect of Glow. So we're gonna activate Glow by banishing itself for cost, targeting Guidork. And we're gonna special summon Guidork from the spell and trap zone into the monster zone in defense, because the effect of Glow specifically special summon the monster in defense. Now, once we special summon Guidork this way, we get to activate its effect again, because the effect of Guidork is soft once per turn. So as long as you take it off the field and then you summon it back, you can keep using its effect basically, even in one turn. So we're gonna activate the Guidork effect. So this is the second summon. So like I said, usually in the second summon we want to add and discard Samsara Dragon. So we're gonna add to hand and we're gonna discard it because Guidork adds and then we need to discard. So after that we have two level 6 monsters on the field, so we're gonna overlay them and go into Atom. So our first heretic monster. Usually I like to special summon Atom, or I should say Xyz summon Atom in the extra monster zone, just to keep the monster zone empty and clear, so that I can follow the combo easier basically. Even for me, for someone who is used to these combos, I still do it this way, just like as a preference. Like the monster zones do not really matter in these combos, but I just do it like this as a preference basically. So now that we summoned Atom, we're gonna activate its effect by detaching one card in order to summon a dragon from the deck. Here we need to specifically detach Guidork. Oops, I went to to main phase 2 by accident there. Don't worry about it. So yeah, we need to detach Guidork specifically because we want Guidork in the graveyard, because the monster we're gonna summon with Atom is actually Red MD. So what is Red MD? Oh, here you go. So I like to special summon my monsters in defense, of course, because any monster that is special summoned with heretic monsters have their attack and defense lowered to 0 basically. So it's a good habit to have, to special summon your monsters in defense with heretic monsters basically. So yeah, now that we summoned Red MD, like I said before, Red MD allows to special summon Guidork for the 3rd time from the graveyard. And now, since I have already used Zephyros and I have Samsara in my graveyard, all I have to do now is just add and discard a tuner. So in this specific combo, since we only started with one discard, the tuner that we're gonna get is specifically Phalanx, not Kus. We need Phalanx specifically, and I will explain why. So we're gonna add Phalanx and we're gonna discard Phalanx. Now let's see the graveyard again to keep track where we are in the combo. So we already used Legatus to special summon, so we cannot do it again because it's an effect, once per turn effect. we already used Zephyros effect to bounce back the Ravine into our hand. So, and this effect is once per duel, so we can already forget about using Zephyros again. We have Samsara Dragon in the graveyard, and we also have our tuner in the graveyard. So we are almost set, we are almost done with the preparation phase. All we need now is to put the Mistletoe in the graveyard so that Samsara Dragon comes online, basically. In this case, it's very easy to put Mistletoe in the graveyard. All we need to do is link these two into Heretic Seal. So this is our first Heretic Seal summon, and this specific Heretic Seal is not going to stay on the field. We're going to use it as extender. However, look at the state of the board. We have Heretic Seal and we have Guidork. So this is the second checkpoint. The first checkpoint, I don't know if I told you this, usually the first checkpoint is the first time you summon Guidork, like the synchro summon of Guidork, basically. So Guidork is alone, basically, on the field. That's the first checkpoint. The second checkpoint is here. You have Guidork as the last summon and Heretic Seal. So now, if we look at the graveyard, we have everything set up. We have already used Zephyros, so we always wanna see Zephyros in the graveyard, whether we used it or not. It's just as a reference. So we used Zephyros. We have Samsara Dragon ready to go with Mistletoe because it's gonna bounce. It's gonna recycle Mistletoe to our hand. We have a tuner, so we are all set. We have all the ingredients basically. So now it's time to cook. So now we can start. First thing we do, activate Samsara Dragon by banishing itself and adding Mistletoe to our hand. Immediately, same effect of Samsara, immediately after we add this to hand, we're gonna tribute summon this dragon that we added over the seals. So we're gonna tribute the seals in order to tribute summon Mistletoe. All of this is due to the effect of Samsara Dragon. Now that we tribute summoned Seal's effect is gonna activate first because it's a mandatory effect. It's an if effect and it is mandatory, it's not optional. So Seals, Chainlink 1, Mistletoe, Chainlink 2. Mistletoe activates again because we summoned it from the hand, and the effect to summon from the hand and to equip from the graveyard is not once per turn. So there is no restriction on it. As long as we keep summoning this from the hand, we can use it basically. So yeah, Seal, Chainlink 1, Mistletoe, Chainlink 2. So now we're gonna resolve the chain. So we're gonna resolve Mistletoe by equipping the Phalanx to it. And with Seals, we're gonna summon our Supreme King Dragon Dark Worm. Where is Dark Worm? Here we have it. Again, I summon it in defense just as force of habit because, again, Heretic monsters, they put the attack and defense of the summoned dragon to 0. Now that we summoned the Dark Worm, its effect triggers, and we need to add Supreme King Gate 0 to our hand. Here we go. So in case you don't know, like when Dark Worm is normal or special summoned, you can add one Supreme King card, like basically from your deck to your hand, basically. So our only target, of course, in our specific deck is the Supreme King Gate 0. So we're gonna add Gate 0 to our hand, and notice now we can activate Ravine again, and we have a discard for it now. Before we only had Ravine in hand, so even if we activated it then, we didn't have any discards. But because of, or I should say, thanks to Dark Worm, now we have an extra discard to use on Ravine, right? And we're gonna use it. So here, what we can do is summon Phalanx from the Spell and Trap Zone by its own effect, of course. Then we can go into Boral Savage Dragon. So here we can go into Boral Savage Dragon. Synchro these off. What is this borrow? Here we go. So we're gonna put Borrow Savage here, activate its effect, and equip it with Romulus, basically, and it's gonna have 2 counters. And with these two, with Dark Worm and Guidorg, we can go into Hieratic Seal. So our second Hieratic Seal. And this Hieratic Seal is not an extender, it's just an interruption. This is here to stay, basically. So now that we have Hieratic Seal and Borrow Savage Dragon, notice if you were paying attention this whole combo, we did not normal summon yet. We did tribute summon the Mistletoe, but that was because of the effect of Samsara Dragon, and that effect does not eat up your regular normal summon, basically. So now we can activate the effect of Ravine by discarding this card, Gate 0, in order to access the winged beast that we're gonna normal summon, basically, which is Dukes. So here is Dukes, so we're gonna add Dukes to hand. You see, we're still cooking, even though we started with only Remus and 1 discard. So now we're gonna do our normal summon, activate Dukes by equipping Phalanx, and this is the big reason why Phalanx is important and not Koos, because Phalanx allowed us to go into Borrow Savage Dragon, and it's gonna also allow us to go into Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. If this was Koos, that would not be possible, right? Because Koos cannot be used except for the synchro summon of Dragunity monsters specifically, right? So that's why we needed Phalanx, because Phalanx is more flexible. We can use it for any synchro summon, basically. So now we're gonna summon Phalanx again from the Spell and Trap Zone. Again, Phalanx is like Guidorg, is a soft once per turn. So as long as we keep recycling Phalanx, so we get it off the field and then we equip it again in the Spell and Trap Zone, we can keep using its effect to special summon itself, basically. So here with the level 2 Phalanx and the level 4 Dukes, we're gonna go into a new synchro summon in order to synchro summon Vairayana. So here we're gonna synchro summon Vairayana, activate its effect to equip Phalanx again, and then we're gonna special summon Phalanx again from the Spell and Trap Zone, and we're gonna go into our Synchro 8. So we have a level 6 non-tuner Synchro Dragon, so we can use it to go into Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. And there it is. We finished the phase 2. We finished cooking. This is our final board, just starting with 1 Remus and 1 discard. So we have an Omni Negate in Borrow Load Savage Dragon, a Monster Negate with Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, and a Monster Interruption, basically, with Hieratic Seal that we can use on the opponent turn to disrupt their plays, basically, and also allows us to summon a dragon from the deck. So 3 interruptions, not bad. And this is not counting the other cards that we could theoretically have in our hand, because we only started this whole combo with only Remus and 1 discard. So it's pretty good, I guess. So this is a very standard combo with this particular deck because we use the Pendulum Engine. So there you go. So this is our first board. So now we're gonna go into the next combo, which is Remus with 2 discards, but I'm not gonna go into the normal 2 discards like any discards. I'm gonna go into the 2 discards with specific cards being one of the discards, basically, because 2 random discards does not really put down any different board than this, basically. It's practically the same, except you have more options, basically, in what you want to do. Like, except instead of like Crystal Wing, you can have another, like maybe you can have Arid Bear instead, but it's the same number of interruptions, basically. So let's reset the deck. So now that you understood the logic behind the combo, at least I hope you understood that, I'm just gonna go faster for the other combos, because I don't want to repeat myself on the other combos, basically. there is if there is anything new, of course, to add, I'm gonna slow down a little bit and explain it a bit more. Of course, don't worry about it. But I'm not gonna repeat like explain again basically other stuff that I already explained in the first combo. So let's put back these cards in our deck. And we're gonna go and get Remus again. What is Remus? Okay. And now a random discard. I guess I'll just add this to hand, driver. And we're gonna get Zephyros. So this is a specific combo that you can go you can do with Zephyros. You can also do this combo with other cards like Disarmy in hand, for example. Right? You can go into like you can even have like a combination of Senatus, Remus, and another discard. Like there is another like way to do this. So I'm just gonna use Zephyros as an example here because it's the easiest one to follow, basically. So this specific combo requires Remus plus Zephyros plus another discard, right? So we're gonna start the combo in the same way. Discard Remus for cost in order to activate its effect to add Ravine. So we're gonna add Ravine to hand. We're gonna activate Ravine, and we're gonna use the effect of Ravine by discarding Zephyros in order to add Legatus. So notice here we loaded the graveyard with Zephyros very early on in the combo, and what's important is that we did not use the effect of Guidorg to do it. So now one of the summons of Guidorg is free. We do not need to use Guidorg's effect to load Zephyros in the graveyard because we just did it because it was in our hand, right? So now we freed up one effect of Guidorg. So each time you discard a card with Ravine that usually you discard it with Guidorg, you free up an effect of Guidorg that you can use on other things, basically. If you need to load up the graveyard with other things, or if you need to add a specific card to your hand and then you discard another winged beast or dragon in your hand, basically. So that's something that you can keep in mind, basically. So now specifically in this combo, because we discarded Zephyros with Ravine very early on in the combo before we even synchro summon Guidorg, now we freed up one one use of Guidorg, basically. And you're gonna see on what we're gonna use that free effect use, basically. So yeah. So now that we have Zephyros in the graveyard and we added Legatus, it's the very same combo. So we're gonna special summon Legatus from the hand since we control Ravine. Then we're gonna activate Remus again, and then we're gonna banish Remus and send oops, not to hand, please. So we're gonna banish Remus and send Legatus to the graveyard. Oh, I just noted, by the way, earlier when I did the combo with the Pendulum Monster Darkworm, when you link Darkworm and Guidorg to go into Heretic Seal, I accidentally put Darkworm in the graveyard. But actually, the correct play, if you're playing like in real world, is to put the Darkworm face up on the extra deck. I just remembered because it's a Pendulum Monster, of course. So yeah, I think I put it in the graveyard by accident. I think again this is improvised, so I don't remember, but yeah, I think I put it in the graveyard by accident. So yeah, anyway, Master Duel is gonna do it automatically for you. Of course, it's gonna put the Darkworm face up on the extra deck, but it's good to know if you're gonna try to play this in like TCG way or something, you know. Anyway, so I just realized that. So yeah, so now that we banished Remus and sent Legatus to the graveyard for synchro summon, we're gonna synchro summon Guidorg. and this is the free use of Guider. So usually here we would want to add Zephyros from the deck and discard it, but because we already did it, now we're gonna use this to our advantage to add Baby Rock. So we're gonna add Baby Rock and discard Baby Rock immediately and use its effect to special summon from the graveyard. So Baby Rock, although it has a when effect in its text, so it can miss timing if you discard it for cost, but because we discard it for effect with Guider, we get to use its effect to special summon from the graveyard. And if you've been keeping count, this is 4 summon. So we summoned Legatus 1, Remus was the second, Guider was the third, Baby Rock was the fourth, and now we can go into our 5th summon, which will be, of course, Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. So what is Crystal Wing? Here you go. So we have Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon as the 5th summon. So now we are protected from being Nibiru'd, which is nice. So in this particular combo, anytime you start with your opening hand and you have Remus and Zephyros, you know immediately that you can go into a Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon as the 5th summon, basically. So that's your tell. If you start with Remus and Zephyros in hand, basically, and you have another card to discard, of course, you can go into Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. So now that we summoned Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, we are protected from Nibiru, so now we can continue comboing. So we can continue comboing and continue our phase 1, our preparation phase. So now we need to continue comboing, but how? How do we do it? Well, it's pretty simple. We have Zephyros in the graveyard, ready to be used. So we're gonna use the effect of Zephyros to bounce back Ravine. So we're gonna bounce Ravine for cost and special summon Zephyros. Of course, automatically you're gonna take 500 damage in Master Duel. And now we need to use Ravine again immediately, discarding the other random discard in order to add one of my favorite cards, Dragunity Gizarme. Where is Gizarme? Here we go. Now we're gonna use our normal summon on Gizarme. So we're gonna normal summon Gizarme, activate its effect by summoning back the Legatus. Now we have enough cards on the board to continue comboing. So we're gonna use Zephyros and Gizarme in order to go into Romulus. And now we can forget about Zephyros. We already used it. It's once per duel, so we can forget about Zephyros. So now we go back to our logic, which is the next step. So the next step is to summon Guiderg again and load the graveyard with Samsara Dragon, which we're gonna do now. So since we linked summon Romulus, we can use its effect to add Glow. So it's the same thing. Add Glow to hand, activate Glow, add Mistletoe. What is Mistletoe? Oops, here it is. Add Mistletoe. Send Romulus to the graveyard to special summon Mistletoe from your hand. Activate Mistletoe to equip Guiderg. Then activate Glow. Banish it to special summon Guiderg from the Spell and Trap zone in defense. Now we use the second summon of Guiderg to add and discard Samsara Dragon. Add to hand, discard. We have 2 level 6, so we overlay. Go into a tomb. Again, I prefer to summon a tomb here in the extra monster zone. If you remember earlier, the monster zone was empty when we did this. Now we have Crystal Wing and Legatus. So this is just the effect of having Zephyros with the Remus in hand, basically. So now, same thing, activate a tomb, detaching Guiderg, so specifically Guiderg again, to special summon Redem D. from the deck and defense again. Use Red MD to summon Guidork from the graveyard. Use Guidork's effect in order to load up the graveyard with one tuner. So here, it doesn't matter which one, because we're gonna have the other one by the effect of seals. So we can have. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm saying stupid things. It needs to be Kus. So here we need to add Kus specifically with Guidork. So, oops, not the graveyard, the deck, please. So we're gonna add Kus specifically. There are sometimes instances where you can add any of the tuners and then you can special summon the other one basically. But if I remember correctly, this combo specifically requires you to add Kus instead. So we're gonna add Kus, discard it immediately, of course. Then we're gonna link Red MD and Atom into Hieratic Seal. Okay, so this is our second checkpoint. If you remember, our second checkpoint earlier was Seals and Guidork. But now we have Seals, Guidork, and two extra cards, Legatus and Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. Right? So now we're just gonna go into our execution phase. So now we go into phase 2. Same thing. We need to look at our graveyard. We have all the ingredients. We have Samsara and Mistletoe in the graveyard, so we can use Samsara already, and we have a tuner in the graveyard. In this case, Kus. So we're gonna activate Samsara, bench Samsara, add Mistletoe to hand. Immediately with the effect of Samsara, we're gonna tribute the seal in order to tribute summon. And we're gonna activate Seals as Chainlink 1, Mistletoe Chainlink 2. So this is not like an option, this is how it goes. We're gonna resolve Mistletoe, of course, first. So we're gonna attach Kus. So notice the difference between this combo and the other one. The other one we had Phalanx, this one we had Kus. And with the effect of Seals, we're gonna special summon the Phalanx. So the reason why it's important to have Kus in the graveyard first and not Phalanx is because if we special summon Phalanx with the Seals, now we have options. We can go into Seals, we can go into a non-Dragunity Synchro Monster basically, because Phalanx allows us to go into any Synchro Monster we want. So if the roles were reversed, then you will see, let's try to put this here and put this here. Now you see the problem. Kus only allows us to go into Dragunity monsters, so it restricts us into what we can do basically. So we either go into a Dragunity Synchro monster or we link it off into Seals basically. So that restricts us into what we can do. That's why it's very important to get Kus first into the graveyard and then special summon Phalanx from the deck into the field. So here we have options, right? We already have Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, so here we can just go, for example, with the Guidork into Savage Dragon, Borrow Savage Dragon. So let's do that. Let's synchro off into Borrow Load Savage Dragon. Activate its effect in order to what is it? Romulus. In order to equip it with Romulus, it's gonna have 2 counters on it. Now we can special summon this to our field, and now we can go into Barca. Notice that all this time, from the very first like few steps of the combo, we had Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon and a level 4 Winged Beast on the field. So we were already prepared for this final step of the combo from the very beginning, which is very awesome with this deck and with this combo basically. So we already have the level 4 Wing Beast. So we're gonna synchro these two into Barca. So we're gonna go this and this into Barca. Activate Barca in order to equip Goose and Phalanx. Oops. And you can equip Gizarmi as well. There is another line that I will show you later on. Don't worry about it. But this line is gonna put down a specific end board basically. So with this end board, we can, for example, if I remember correctly, we can summon Kus, link off Mistletoe and Kus into Heretic Seal. So this is our first interruption. And we can summon Gizarmi in defense as a body, an extra body on the field. Then we can summon Phalanx, and with Phalanx and Barca we can synchro into our level 10 synchro Arid Bear, for example. Usually you wanna special summon Arid Bear in defense if you're not gonna attack with it, of course. So this is one of the boards that you can put down. So this is one variation of the combo. It's the same combo. We're just gonna go back a little bit further in the combo to do a different route, basically. So this is one route that you can take if you need extra monster effect negation. This is one route you can go into. So now you have Arid Bear and Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon as monster effect negation. You have Boral Savage Dragon as Omni Negate, and you have Seals as monster interruption basically, and you have an extra body on the board, right? So now we're just gonna go a little bit back in the combo to go into a different route to put down a very similar end board, but instead of Arid Bear we're gonna have number 38 Hope Harbinger basically. So let's go back in the combo a little bit. So let's put back all these cards in the extra deck. Let's put back Heretic Seal as well. Put this in the graveyard, this in the graveyard. So if I remember correctly, we had this here. We had this here, and if I remember this here, and we had, so we were at this point of the combo, right? So in this particular case, what we could do is, instead of going into a Borderlord Savage Dragon immediately, we can go into Chaos Ruler. So we can go into this with this, it doesn't matter. So we can go into oh, it does matter because Kus is equipped to Mistletoe. You don't want to synchro out Mistletoe, otherwise you're going to lose the Kus, of course. I'm stupid. So yeah, with Guidorg and Phalanx, you want to synchro into Chaos Ruler. Of course, you use its effect to mill 5 cards from your deck. It doesn't matter what you mill, you're just going to use the effect. You can get back what you can get 1 card to your hand if you hit something. So here we did not hit something. We hit gate 0, so we can add gate 0 in case we want to discard it with Ravine for next turn, for example. So, but it doesn't matter. We're not gonna use it anyway. So because sometimes you can mill some cards that you can even extend your combos even further with. But in this case we did not. So we have Chaos Ruler on the field. So now we special summon Kus. We synchro Kus. We synchro out Kus and Legatus in order to go into Barca. What is Barca? Oh, did I send it to the graveyard by accident? Oh yeah. So let's put it in the extra deck just to be organized. So we're gonna synchro Barca, activate Barca's effect in order to equip all the tuners from the graveyard. There you have it. So now we can special summon Phalanx and then synchro off Phalanx and Mistletoe into Boral Savage Dragon. Use its effect in order to equip Romulus. So now you have two counters. Then we can summon Kus, and here we have options. If you want to put Heretic Seal, you can do that. You can link off Kus and Chaos Ruler in order to put down Heretic Seal. Usually you want to do that usually because Heretic Seal is a good interruption, right? And it also allows you to special summon from your deck, and if your opponent does not get rid of the monster that you special summoned, you can use it on your next turn in order to go into a combo, basically, right? So usually you want to link off Chaos Ruler and Kus there into seals, right? And then you special summon Gizarme in defense as a body, and then you use the effect of Chaos Ruler by banishing a light and a dark. Usually you banish the other Heretic Seal in your graveyard and Zephyros, since you are done with Zephyros, to so you special summon back Chaos Ruler like that, and then you overlay Barca with Chaos Ruler into a Harbinger, right? Usually you can end on this board. So notice it's the same board as before, except now instead of having Arid Bear, we have Hope Harbinger. It all depends on what type of disruption you want to put on the board. Do you want an extra monster negate, or do you want like a spell interruption, basically, right? So it's all about decision making. So like I said, you can put the Heretic Seal. If you don't want to put Heretic Seal, what we can do is, let's go back just a little bit. So I had Barca here, this was in here. We had this and Kus. So we just went back a little bit. So in this case, of course, this goes back to the extra deck. So in this case, instead of linking these off into the linking these off into Heretic Seal, if you don't want that, what you can do is synchro with them. So you can synchro these two into Arid Bear, right? And you can go back into the same play as before, basically, right? You can go back into summoning this and use you can use Barca and Gizarme to go into Heretic Seal, basically, right? You can use these two to go into Heretic Seal. And then for the extra body on the field, you can either summon back Chaos Ruler, but you don't really need to if you don't really feel the necessity of an extra body, because remember, when you special summon Chaos Ruler from the graveyard by its own effect, it's gonna get banished when it leaves the field. It's like Remus, basically, right? So it's all up to you. Basically, you can go into this board instead. You can go into this board and special summon back Chaos Ruler as just a body on the board, or what you can do is, let's get these back into the extra deck, get back these here, let's put this here again. So what you also can do here is just synchro these two again into arid bear. Do not summon Gizarmi this time, just immediately special summon back Chaos Ruler. Okay, of course by banishing one light and one dark, but I had them banished already, so we just don't do that every time. And then you can overlay these two into Hope Harbinger. Again, it's very similar. I want to put it here. I guess Dueling book does not want me to put it where I summon it, I guess. So yeah, so you notice here it's kind of the same board, except instead of having Hieratic Seal, we have one extra disruption in Arid Bear, basically, right? So you can choose, basically, you can choose what you want to put on the field depending on your needs. Do you need more negation, or you can just use Hieratic Seal for a simple disruption, right? Like it all depends on what you want and what you need, right? Because if you're playing the ladder and you're going first, you don't really know what you're facing. But if you're playing a tournament, for example, and you know what's the deck you're facing, then your decision making is very important, right? So it all depends on what you put down on the board, basically. Of course, here Gizarm is going to be in the graveyard, so yeah, so it all depends on what you want to put down on the board, right? So that's it for the combo. Like all of this is possible because of having Remus, Zephyros, and one extra discard in your opening hand, right? So yeah, I hope I was clear. I know that I talk too much. I know that because I already said this before. I think I have OCD and I have ADHD, so I'm trying to be as detailed as possible in my explanation, basically, because again, the aim and the goal with these videos are for beginners to actually understand how Dragunity plays and how you can play them and how to understand the logic behind the combos, basically. So yeah, I think I'm gonna stop the video here because I think I've been recording for too long. I only showed the two combos, like with the two starting hands, but don't worry, I will do more videos with more starting hands, different starting hands, and later on I will also make videos about how to play around hand traps, because usually you want specific hands for those, and usually you get those hands more often than not. So yeah, don't worry about it. I will go through all the combination and all the combos that I know of in different videos. But for now, I guess I will leave you with these two combos. You can study them as you like. You can try to understand them. And if you have any trouble understanding something, or you have any question, please feel free to leave a comment down below. I will try to answer them like to the best of my abilities, of course. And if I cannot answer everything, I will maybe try to answer them in the next video, basically. So yeah, these are the first two combos with Dragunities. Usually you can do these combos in any deck that has the core engine, the core Dragunity engine, and the small Pendulum engine, basically. So you noticed for the second combo we did not use the Pendulum engine because it's not necessary. It's only necessary for the first combo, basically. So yeah, that's it, I guess. So if you like the video, please leave a like. Consider subscribing if you didn't already, and if you have an idea for a video, leave a comment as well. Like if you want me to do something with Dragunity or whatever, like leave a comment as well. And that's it. That's it for me for this video. Hopefully, I will try to upload another video for this guide next week. So I'll leave you to to it, and stay hydrated. Goodbye.